is that I never realized how difficult expression can be for some people. And it's you
Oh,
realize that it's not you we it might just be a youth thing. It might just be like when you're young and when you're naive and you're still learning about the world, you don't realize the luxury it is when somebody gets to a place where they're comfortable just naturally expressing themselves, or getting to a place where the reception of how they express themselves doesn't change how they do it. And so you saying that, it's like, even how describing that qualified is exactly that for me. So many times I'm sitting here like, man, I don't know how many people want to sit here and watch me have a 45-minute conversation with somebody that they may not know. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't, maybe people don't want to sit down and listen to people talk for 45 minutes no more. We're in a completely different world in 2023. But for me, that's who I am. Like I'm a conversationalist. I love having conversations. I love having people, or giving, the option for people within conversation to share their story, share how they got through something, because I know the experience of hearing something that I thought I was only dealing with, and realizing that, oh, somebody else has dealt with this, or somebody else managed to get through this and they got to this point. I can get to this point, whatever my point is, I can get there because I saw somebody else do it. So that expression piece is huge. And I think in music, where so much is dictated by the audience. Like, yes,
yeah.
you can do it for your love of it, but the success, in a way, is based on how many other people,
Yeah.
like, how you're expressing
Perceive
yourself.
what you're
Yeah.
doing. Exactly. And see, that was always tricky. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so
No, you're
sorry.
good. No, you're good. You're good. You're
But like, man, to jump in, like, so I mean, not even to get like really deep, but so, everybody's like, oh, I have ADHD anxiety. No, like, I really have it. Like, diagnosed, had to go to CBT, like, highest dosage of medicine
good.
that you have to take possible for it. Like, that was me. So, definitely growing up as a child with like severity, like he has this joint on a severe level. Typically, like those types of individuals are, they don't do well in a social space, especially in school. So like me being like me at my fullest like expression is typically like off-putting, or he's a lot, or he talks too much, or he talks loud, or he talks too fast, or like what is he talking about, or who is he being, and it can really dim your light. So on that piece of like having your, and this is just something I just thought about, man, it really dropped on my heart. I'm truly grateful for that, because I'm not a straightforward drummer. Like I sound like me. I have my influences, but like how I perceive like drums and music is very unique to my ear, and it's a reflection of like kind of the person that I am. I play like the nut job that I am, honestly. And people like Aaliyah, we gonna get off her, but for a second, people like Aaliyah who are like, yo, I like the person you are, and I like how the person you are reflects through your drums, and I want to lean into that, bro. Like, dumb grateful for that, but also for the world to see me in this state. This is my most natural state, most vulnerable, right, most naked, and people are looking at me and perceiving my work and saying like, we like that, we love that, we love the newness, we love the sound that you bring. It's humbling, bro. It's humbling. It makes my heart full of gratitude, because not, just like you said, man, not many people have the opportunity to be their fullest self through that. And for me, that was a trouble growing up. It's like being my fullest self and being accepted for that. And now I am being my fullest self through music, and people are like, yeah, we love it. That's sheesh. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely a beautiful thing. And man, no, there's a lot of parallels. I try to stray away from forcing parallels between what I feel like this lane is that I'm doing in content creation and podcasting. And I try not to force that. But a lot of times, because it's an expression thing, and because ultimately it's still you creating something from your heart that is not guaranteed for other people to understand, accept, or appreciate, but you do it anyway, because if the baseline is that I'm doing this for myself, and I'm content with it, and I'm content with ultimately knowing that it reaches who it's supposed to reach, there's a lot of people that aren't even comfortable enough with that to still do something that's on their heart, or still to express themselves in a way. And you mentioning ADHD and anxiety. I recently like just went and actually got like a checkup, if you will, or got tested for like ADHD, anxiety, depression, because it got to a point where I always felt like I was relatively in control of my emotions. I felt emotionally aware and intelligent, so I would be able to, because I was able to pinpoint what was wrong or how I was feeling, I didn't think that it was necessarily something to be concerned about or something to look into,
Mhm.
because I felt like I know what's happening. But
For sure, alarming. Yeah, I see the red flags already.
right, you know what I'm saying? So
Not a
it got
normal
to a
thing.
point, it got to a
I
point
do.
where it got to a point where I had certain situations where, like, no, I had my first panic attack. And I had my first like real feeling of deep depression. Like, I don't really know what to do here. Like, I'm very lost. Like, I hear what everybody's saying in terms of it's going to be okay, and I know deep down in my heart like it will be. But in terms of like getting through today, in terms of like being comfortable and content with where things seem to be going, I just can't convince myself that I'm okay right now. Like, I can't,
Mm.
and I don't want to sit in it, but at the same time, I don't really know how to get out of this space right now. So even
What
addressing
is
that,
this
but
about?
me as well, like, I'm thankful for the way that happened for me and when it happened, because I think it just really opened my eyes to understand, like, one, you have to stop trying to be Superman in whatever capacity you want to look at that in. And to stop doing that, you have to understand that you are human, which means that you are going to have to deal, with things that, you call yourself trying to help other people with, and you call
Right.
yourself feel like, that you feel like you can be this great friend, this great supporter, but you have to be that to yourself first. And in doing that, in no way am I an expert at it. And I still have a lot, to learn in doing it for myself. But even seeing the gradual progress in how I've attacked certain things, how I approach certain things since starting to be more intentional about doing that for myself first, it's worked wonders, man. It's
How long ago was this? Did you have
so
the panic attack and the depression and stuff?
so the panic attack was roughly a year ago.
Okay.
And then I had one panic attack, didn't have one for a while, and then maybe about 3-4 months ago, had another panic attack. And that more so led to the anxiety. And I don't know if it leans more toward anxiety versus depression, but the depressive episode in itself was this summer. I would say for about a month in the summer, it was just a really dark place of like, yeah, I don't really know where I'm at, or I feel like I really need to make this change before it gets even darker than where it feels right now. Because if it goes anywhere else from here, like if it goes left anywhere else from here, I don't know. Like, I don't
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
what that leads to, So yeah, that's about the timeline of those things.
Bro, I went through the same thing last year, spring. Like I had like a terrible, and I again, like this is like I've been dealing with this for a while, but I had like a really like bad like mental breakdown like while I was in Valencia. No one knew, um, like bad, like as bad, almost as like as movie bad you can think was
Mm,
as bad as it was like fetal position on the floor. Like it was
mm,
bad. Yeah, it was different. Um, and that caused me to go down into that depression, right? i find myself like I find myself a lot of times being, first of all, gratitude is not like a solve for depression, but I do know that a lot of the things that I was depressed about or that I find myself getting down about are things that I prayed for. That's number one. Two, bro, there is this like this aspect of suffering and trusting the process that's just really hard for us to do. And I said I was gonna write like a short paper on it, like a short paper, and just like publish it. But like, there was a point in time where if you wanted to go look up something, if you wanted to go know like what this flower was, like you had to wait till your workday was done. You had to travel however long your nearest library was, check out a card, go look for the book, go through the book, find what you were looking for to get the information that you need. You know, what could be a 1 hour or 8 hour process to just look up like the name of a flower we can do in less than 10 seconds on our phones, right? Point in time where she wanted to talk to someone, you had to mail a letter and wait for the letter to come back. It could have been as serious or, as playful as it was. Or where if you wanted to get food, like to imagine that like 40 or 50 years ago, there's no such thing as fast food. Or 60 years ago, there's no such thing as fast food. There's no such thing as like the concept of getting your food in 5 minutes, let alone a microwave, right? And biblically, like everything that the Bible teaches is like 50% like suffering. It's 50% like trusting in the process. And something that like God just revealed to me this year is that like, yo, we do not know how to wait in the process. And we have let the weight, WAIT, become our weight, like our WE, like the weight on your back. And sometimes for me specifically, I don't know what you were going through, but I know you talked about like just the season and space you were in, like the world, like what am I going to do? What is life supposed to be? Like the anxiety of like the unknown is like really a product of like not knowing how to just sit in the process. And with the control thing, I relate to that because like I feel like I'm only as good as my ability to have control over the situation. So now my validation is in how good I can steward being in
Yeah.
control. You know what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's just I'm only as good as I can control the situation. That's oh my God, like I
And
could
I'm
just
already at a deficit. It's like you're already at a deficit.
already down. You're already
Yeah.
down. You're so
It's
that's
a, no,
part two
it's
podcast.
a, no, no, it's a brutal process. The realization of you start to realize how difficult self-love really is. And so for me, when I got to a place like, nah, bro, like I really love who I am. Like
Yeah,
being able to say that and know what that means for me is such a it does wonders because you realize that no, there were times where I thought that's what the case was, and it wasn't. And
yeah,
in my heart of hearts, I probably knew that that wasn't the case, but I felt like I had to say it or I was trying to convince myself. But to know, like for me, like no, like I love what you're doing right now. You don't got it all figured out just yet, and things aren't perfect, but
yeah,
you're also okay with that. And you also realize that you can't control certain aspects of that. So there's only so much that you can do. And it's funny that you talked about like bringing up that control aspect again. I'll never forget. This was probably about a year ago at this point. I was having a conversation with my mom, and I remember, and it caught her off guard. I don't know if she was more caught off guard because of the way I was talking, because she'd be surprised when I'd be talking about God for some reason. But anyway, but no, I mentioned to her, I said, I really feel like I need to learn how to be still. Like I said that. And that was about a year ago. And it was funny because she did the most typical mom thing that you would think. So she like sat on it. Then like a month later, I came home for Thanksgiving. And she
mhm,
was like, so, about a month ago, when you mentioned like being still, what exactly was going on? Let's dive into that a little bit more. And
mhm.
I'm like, Ma, I thought we was past this. Why you ain't saying it a month ago when I said it the first time? But she was just more so she wanted to emphasize how important it is to be still. And like you can be intentional and you can have a plan and you can have goals, but the being still aspect is understanding that there are always going to be elements that have nothing to do with you, that have
Nothing.
nothing to do with you whatsoever. So you have to be able to find balance and have discernment of this is somewhere where I take accountability. I can take responsibility for this. This is something that I have to just accept I don't have any responsibility in. And sometimes that's more difficult to accept that, like, yo, I literally like no matter how hard I try, there's nothing I can do to change
Nothing.
what this situation is, how it's going, where it's at. Like that's not on me. And when you're a person that feels like, yo, I need to be able to control this, you always feel like it's on you. And so that battle and that process of like, no, it's not all on you. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be and it shouldn't be. That is, I mean, I feel like that's gonna be a life journey. I don't even know if that's ever really gonna
No, it's
end.
I mean no, of course not. But it also like while you figure it out, like you're okay. And we have this like concept of like, yo, God only loves us as good as we are able to like not sin, or as good as we're able to be great, or as good, which is
Yeah,
like no, it's like yo, he loves you through like the mess, the funk. Yeah, when you stink the worst, it's like it's when he loves you the same.
yeah.
And we have to learn to treat ourselves the same as like loving ourselves through the process. And for me, I didn't know, yo, what my job, like, bro, the things that I'm doing now, I didn't think that I would do until like 10 years later. And I
Mm,
prepared for the weight of 10 years. I prepared for the weight of like 5 years, for like this taking some time. And all of the things that I have like wanted or prayed for, that I've asked for, or that God has revealed to me have like come at me like a train very quickly. After I just spent all this time waiting and groaning and moaning and complaining, you know what I'm saying? Like at every, and now I have a whole new set of things to learn. But bro, like I don't know, like you can't let your destination be your focal point, because then you kind of miss what you were supposed to learn in the process, and
mm.
you miss like the loving of yourself in the process. You know what I'm saying? Like when you don't
Yeah.
have it under control, like when it's not, when everything is not okay, like that's okay. And you have to learn to surrender that. Cause
Yeah.
oh my God, you gotta surrender that thing, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, why am I not this good enough? I was literally like my friend, one of my most talented friends. His name is Emmett. He's a programmer.
Mhm.
He's been, I've known him since like 2016. You should interview him next. He's on tour with 50
Set it
Cent for,
up. Set it
he's,
up.
listen, bro, he's on tour with 50 Cent for playback. He's programmed strings for Beyonce. He has like done Masego, Tiana Taylor. Like honestly, like he's that guy. And he did this performance for Lotto for the BET Awards, not the Hip Hop Awards, BET Awards earlier this year. And I was like, why can't that be me, man? I would love that to be me. Talking all this, getting down, getting depressed, getting sad, only for that thing to come back, like a couple months later, for me. And it's not, and it came back and when it came back, everybody was like, everybody loves it. Like, how do you feel? And like the aspect of like people acknowledging and validating me became like not a thing. I was just
Mm.
like, I'm just happy to get some income. I'm just happy to get. I was like, honestly, it could have come from Joe Willie Bob down the street, and no one have ever seen it. If they paid my rate, I actually don't care at this point, because like because of me going through the long suffering and the process, like I finally removed like the weight of being this guy, the control aspect. Like, I surrendered the process, and it was, it came through. I stayed prepared.
Yeah.
Don't trip now. I did everything I was supposed to do, but bro, surrendering to that process and being okay with it, being okay with the funk, loving yourself in the funk, bro. That joint is, bro. Like I said, we could part 2 podcasts just on that alone.
Oh, literally, literally. Yeah, man. It's no, you're answering so much, man. It's all flowing, so it's all good.